Hey everybody, this is Garrett with Youngblood Ag. Just wanted to take a little bit of time today, kind of go over some steering calibrations. One thing we get a lot of questions on over the course of the spring and even into the fall. So I'm going to go and take a 4560 John Deere that's got a SteadySteer on it that we just installed, make a short little video on how to do a steering calibration with a Z2 steer command or a SteadySteer. So hang with me just a minute here, waiting on some green satellites, because that's one of the things that we've got to have to do our steering cal, and we'll get to it. Alright guys, we got our SteadySteer in this 4560. I've got our steering controller mounted up there on the tray. It's about the best place and easiest place to put it, somewhere where it's nice and flat. One thing we have to wait for is our green satellites, which we do have now. So now we can go ahead and go into our setup page. And then I've already created a config for this. If you go into equipment, it shows our 4560 right here already. I've already went in and did our measurements and all that sort of thing. So if we come down here to the steering and GPS tab. So now you can see that across the top it says steer command Z2 SteadySteer. So with it saying it across the top here, that tells me that it's actually communicating with it. The same way with our 7500. It shows that it's actually communicating, so we can go ahead and go into the wrench. Now we want to pick the profile that we're wanting to do our steering cal for. This customer's also got a 7140 case, which we've already done a steering cal for. So we want to do the John Deere 4560. So make sure that's highlighted and hit the green check mark. So this is where our settings and stuff are. Occasionally we might ask you to go in here and do some testing for us. It's kind of what the page looks like, but otherwise we just want to go to full calibration. Now I've already started it just to make sure that everything was going to talk, but we'll just go ahead and hit recalibrate, because I'll take you through the whole thing. So our control method is of course SteadySteer, because that's what we have on this machine. For case guys, it might be AccuSteer. Sometimes for like the Massies, it could be ISO or AutoGuide 2 or 3. Just kind of depends on what series of tractor you've got, how new it is, and what we're controlling it with. So for this video and for this tractor, we are using a SteadySteer, so that's already highlighted. Go ahead and hit the green check mark. So right now it's wanting us to verify our antenna offsets, and if you went ahead and created a config on the in command, it already pre-populates everything. But if you have not done so, go ahead and do the measurements and stuff for your antenna offsets. So I got 41 inches forward of the rear axle, I'm centered on the top of the tractor, and I'm 123 inches high. Go ahead and hit the blue arrow forward. This is our wheelbase, so this knows how short it'll turn and what our wheelbase is, so it knows how to be able to turn this. So I've got 116 inches. Blue arrow forward, and this is our steering controller offsets. So that is the actual Z2 box, or the SteadySteer box. That is where we want to put that in. So I'm 41 inches forward of the rear axle, I am centered, and then I am 83 inches above ground. So blue arrow forward. And now it's basically saying when you got the red hands on the steering wheel, you don't want to touch the steering wheel. So we'll go ahead and blue arrow forward. One thing here, this is our sensitivity for the steering kickout. This is specific to the SteadySteer. Basically, it's just to figure out how much pressure you want to put on the SteadySteer motor to be able to kick the auto steer out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick here. So if we do test kickout, basically wants you to turn the steering wheel, and I'm going to set this a little harder because this tractor steers a little harder. So I'm going to test it again. We come back, test again. It just basically puts a brake on it to know how hard you want it to be able to turn to kick the steering out. So I'm going to say that's good for now. We might have to adjust later on. So now for the steady steer, we got to steer all the way to the right. And what I like to do is put the tractor in gear and creep forward just a little bit so I can make sure that I get all the way to the right. So I'm creeping forward just a little bit, holding the wheel, and hit the arrow. Now it wants me to go all the way left. So we'll go all the way left, creep forward a little bit, make sure we get to our stop, hold the wheel, hit the arrow again. Alright, so now I want to get out into this field a little bit here, and it wants to steer all the way to the right and continue doing that. So we'll get out here a little ways. Not going to go too far out here because I don't want to tear up this guy's hay field. But we're going to go all the way to the right and hold the steering wheel. Oop, I got to go a little bit faster. Pick it up in here. Alright. That was one other thing I got to look at too, is there's a minimum speed that you have to be going while you're doing these calibrations. So it's calibrating. So now it wants me to go all the way to the left. I'm going to wait until I get straightened out here a little bit. We'll go all the way to the left. So all the way to the left now. And holding, hit the blue arrow. Calibrating. Alright, so now this is our SCM orientation calibration. So what we need to do is get out. We've got to be in a fairly level spot. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to stop here and stop, wait for the tractor to stop moving, go ahead and put it in park. And now that the tractor's done moving, we're going to go ahead and hit the blue check mark. So we want to stay put. We don't want to move anything while this calibration is going on. So basically what this is doing is kind of what I call a roll cal. So it calibrates which orientation the steer command is in, so we don't actually have to tell it. So now we got done with that calibration, and we're going to spin around basically 180 degrees and park in the same spot. Alright. So this is about the same spot. We're headed back the opposite direction. We'll go ahead and hit the blue check mark, or blue arrow. So that's just calibrating the other direction. So what that does is it's a roll cal. Basically, if you have your planter or whatever tillage equipment behind you is off one way and on the next, this could be the calibration that we are off and we might have to redo. So now what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and do an automated turn sequence, do a figure 8 to learn which position this SCM's in. So we'll go ahead and get up to speed and hit the blue check mark. And with it kicking out like it just did, I might have to increase the kickout hardness, basically, because this tractor does steer a little harder than some. So with it doing that, we might have to increase it, because basically it's thinking that we're turning the steering wheel or holding the steering wheel. So it's going to continue to go around until it comes back in about the same spot, and then it'll go back the other direction. Because right now we're going left, or going right, and it will go back left now. Should be wanting to go back left now. There it goes. Now it'll go back left all the way around in a circle. machines that have hydraulic control or are CAN bus control on most of the newer equipment, you do have to have a larger area to be able to calibrate, because it will do figure eights multiple times back and forward. Alright, calibration complete. So now we just hit our green check mark. I am going to go in and do the steering kick out and make it just a little bit harder, since it did try and kick us out that first time. So I'm going to do a test. So now it's a little bit harder to kick it out. So other than that, we just back out and we're ready to go back in and plant or apply or do guidance, whatever we need to do. So thanks for watching.